from the Ticats Audio Network. This is Ticats Today.
Yes, it is Ticats Today for a Thursday, June the 23rd, 2022. The Hamilton Ticats in the air on their way to Winnipeg for their Week 3 matchup against the Blue Bombers. Louie Butko here on the Ticats Audio Network, getting you set for that game. Coming up on today's show, we'll hear from Dane Evans, QB1 of your Hamilton Ticats. We'll hear from Dylan Wynn, and we'll be joined by the CFL on TSN, Sara Orlesky, to get a preview on tomorrow night's game. Speaking of a preview, you can check out a brand new episode of Speaking with the Enemy, now available wherever you found this podcast on the Ticats Audio Network. You can catch a new episode of The Coach O Show, now available on the Ticats Audio Network, and soon to be available, if it's not already, but it should be, very soon. And it's a brand new episode of Ticats This Week with RJ Broadhead and Luke Tasker, of course, the two men who will have the call of tomorrow night's game right here on the Ticats Audio Network. Lots to get to. Let's check out the depth chart as I hold in my hand how the Ticats will line up tomorrow night against the Bombers. 8:30 kickoff, 7:30 is when we kick off our pre-game coverage. As Steve Clark filling in for Bubba O'Neill. He'll be joined by Andy Fantuz, as always, on Tiger Cats pregame presented by Journey Rewards. Let's see how the Ticats will line up, and some big news that happened this morning, coming a bit of a surprise to just about everybody. As up front at left tackle, you got Riley going again at left tackle. At left guard, no Brandon Revenberg, and I believe, and I'll double check this, but I believe this is the first game Brandon Revenberg has ever missed in his career. And we found out today Brandon Revenberg not going to be going in this one, so Kay Oakford gets to start at left guard. Jesse Gibbon is the starting center. Travis Vorncall is at right guard. Chris Van Zyl at right tackle. Noah Pickett will be backing up Jesse Gibbon at center. The receivers, no change. You got Stephen Dunbar Jr., you got Tim White, you got Jake Burt. Braylon Addison, a game-time decision, so we'll keep our eye on that one. Pappy White is backed up by Tyler Ternowski, who was activated off the 6-game injured list this week. And David Ungwer III is backed up by Keandre Smith. In the defense, up front, Mason Bennett at defensive end, Micah Johnson at nose tackle, Dylan Wynn back in the lineup after missing last week on the 1-game injured list, Julian Houser at DN. Linebackers, Simone Lawrence, Jovan Santos, Knox, Cam Kelly from left to right. And in the secondary, no change from last week. It's Jamal Roll and Deontay Evans at the corner, Darby Jr. and Richard Leonard at the half, and Tunde Adelke at free safety. Mike Domagala is the kicker. Sean LeRae is the punter. Gordon White's long snapper, and Lawrence Woods III will handle the kick and punt return. And I said Sean LeRae. That's Simon LeRae. Make sure I get that one right. So no Bailey Feltmate, no Felix Garan-Gauthier, no Brandon Revenberg, and no Lee Autry II. So yeah, that's how the Ticats will be lining up against the Bombers. For more, let's hear from Dylan Wynn, who's making his return to the lineup. Here's what he had to say after practice this week.
I don't think I'm going to play. I think I'm going to take the day off, relax a little bit. You know, who knows? No, it felt good. It was fun running around, having a good time. We're always a pretty tight D-line. Obviously, there's stuff that we want to tighten up even more. And early in the season, that's how it always goes. But it's a good group of guys on and off the field. Good guys to hang out with, good guys to work with. Work's a joy. Just we want to win. We want to win, and that's it. Doesn't matter who we line up against. That's our focus, and that's something we need to do. Oh, never enough sacks for my liking. But
what do you see there?
What we see, I mean, the best way I could put it is my dad told me one time, good advice from an oil baron. It's you go to work early, you leave late. One day you just strike oil. So, we just do what we got to do, and you work and you work and you work, and not trying to make any plays that are outside of your scheme. But eventually they come. If you ask any D lineman in this league, we're all kind of a superstitious bunch. And, when they come, they start coming. So it's just keeping your nose to the grindstone, keep working, and, let that kind of stuff work itself out. Good stuff happens to those who work, so. He's a premier quarterback in this league, and it's shown. I'm pretty sure he was the MOP last year, or if not, definitely should have been. Top tier quarterback in this league. And any top-tier quarterback that's had success in the CFL knows how to manage pocket presence and knows how to, make their O-line look really good and knows how to, feel the flow of the game. And that is absolutely a challenge going into this week. But, we have a lot of premier quarterbacks in this league in general. And so it makes our job really fun because we're going against top-tier talent. Yeah, it's like I said, it's just continue to do the right things, and eventually you get, you strike oil. It's we just got to keep doing our base fundamentals and doing what we know works. And yeah, it can get frustrating at times, but just because it's frustrating doesn't mean we're gonna play any outside of our ability or outside of our scheme. We're just gonna continue to do the right things and continue to do the fundamentals, and the rest takes care of itself. Yeah, man. I want to give a shout out to Canusa. It's pretty awesome. They're starting back up after the COVID stuff, and it's a good. If for anybody that doesn't know about it, it's awesome. It gives families from Hamilton and Flint kind of, they switch off and you see both sides, and it's great for everybody. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. It's great.
That is Dylan Wynn as he spoke after practice this week. And if you check the video of that, which you can always do at ticats.ca for full practice scrums, you'll notice that he is wearing a Canusa Games shirt. And we'll let you know that the 2022 Canusa Games will be held in Flint, Michigan this year, and back in person after the pandemic. It'll be going down Friday, August 5th to Sunday, August 7th. And if you want more information, canusagames.com. A great program that's been going on for a very long time. And you got Dylan Wynn showing his support for that. All right, let's hear from the quarterback. Here's Dane Evans as he spoke after practice this week, getting set for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
I think it's great, man, because, was it hot? Yes, but, no one complains about it. If you complain about it, it's just going to make it worse, right? There's nothing you can do. Nobody has a portable AC like that. So, no, it was great. I loved how the guys pushed through it. Will it be this hot this week coming up in the game? Probably not. So I think that was to our advantage. Especially being on the short week, the best thing for a sore body is heat anyway, right? So it's like we were playing in the sauna. It was awesome. They're good, man. I mean, obviously two-time Grey Cup champs. We've seen them a lot recently. They're a great defense. Overall, a great team, but specifically, I've been watching the D. Great defense. So we definitely know who we got to respect and all that. I think we have a good plan in place. And really what it's going to come down to is just execution for us, man. I'm probably going to say that a lot this year because I think that's what it's really going to come down to for the team, for this 2022 team, is if we execute. I mean, y'all saw what we can do in the first half last week. So we just got to stay the course, execute, and then when it comes down to crunch time, we just got to finish, man. Yeah, we got to just figure out that we can't be scoreboard watching. I think is kind of the biggest thing for us. Doesn't matter if we're up or we're down. Something my dad always told me that's always stuck with me is that it doesn't even matter who you're playing. It's about how well you can execute. That's what this game's all about, especially offensively. Defense is all about reactions, right? You got to react to the set and stuff like that. But offense, the greatest thing about offense is you get to dictate everything. So it's all about executing against whatever look you get. It doesn't even matter who's out there. You just got to take what they're giving you. You got to know how to adjust everything on the fly. And we just got to figure that out a little bit better. And, we just got to stay the course also. We can't – there's no need to panic. We can't try to score 49 points on one play because nobody can do that. You can't do that. Who do you want me to start with?
You're trusting to throw it to anybody.
Yeah, just everybody knows that I think BA is one of the most versatile players in this league. Much like Dembski, they can do everything. Backfield, put him out there. We put him at quarterback last week too. He's just a football player, man. I think I've said a couple years ago he's one of the best football players I've ever played with at any level. Then you got Pop out there at Y. I love Poppy, Oklahoma kid. Somebody's going to play hard every time. And will he make a mistake? Just he's human, right? Yeah, that happens, but he's going to do it 100%, and he's going to play ball, man. I love seeing him get the ball in his hands. And you got Dave and Ternowski out there. I would say they're some of the best Canadians in the league out at the Z receiver. And then Steve and Tim in the boundary. First of all, Steve is huge with a big catch radius, and he kind of brings the attitude for the receivers, right? He kind of has that attitude about him, kind of the swag that everybody feeds off of. And then Tim is Tim, man. I mean, have you seen someone more explosive? Like, the dude should be in the Olympics right now. So I love those guys, and it's just I'm so happy when they get chances to have the rack and explosions like that, because I see how hard they work every week, And you know too, Louie, how we ask them to come in the backfield and block sometimes. And I know they didn't sign those contracts to do that, but that's how unselfish they are, So when things like that are happening, it's just awesome, man. And it gets the O-line excited. It gets the receivers excited. So that gets me excited.
That is Dane Evans as we caught up with him at practice this week. Hoping for a big game from him. And a lot of praise for his receivers, and rightfully so. They had a great game across the board last week. And, Dane really shouting out.
No, agreed. And look, you'll obviously take if you're the Bombers, you'll take that 2-0 or that 2-0 record. Absolutely. 'Cause 2 wins are 2 wins in this. But there's a lot of areas that they're looking to clean up and continue to build upon, or it absolutely going into this one. I think it sets up a really compelling week 3 matchup between these two teams, not only because of the obvious history that we know that these clubs have with the last 2 Grey Cups, but then also just with the way that their seasons have started so far. And Winnipeg has been so dominant at IG Field over the last several years that they're going to want to put on another good show and take another step forward. They have the ground game that one expects from them. The offense has been slower moving. Obviously, the number of yards that they're giving up through the air in particular is something that they're looking to shore up. So they're looking to continue to make some positive steps this week, and it'll be interesting to see how the Ticats bounce back after their first 2 losses of the season.
Zach Collaros is coming off an MOP season, and there's no question in his abilities and what he is able to do. But his numbers don't really tell the whole story on what he's done this season as he's made plays. But Zach has to be thinking that there's more to his game than what we've seen through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that any players looking to continue to build upon it, and this isn't what one would have expected, considering what we've seen recently from them, but this in terms of recent seasons with it. But there's still, I think, trying to get back into the groove of things. And even though nobody played preseason last year, Zach didn't play any of the preseason games this year. And I think find some new chemistry or reignite some of the chemistry that he had of his receivers last year. Obviously, we've seen that he and Greg Ellingson, have been able to have success early on, and I think they just want to continue to build on it. But I don't think that they came into this season, they knew that this was going to be a challenging season. They were not going to necessarily be able to dominate the same way that we saw in 2021. Or the gate, it's about continuing to build on it. There's a lot there, but they're finding ways to win. And Zach continues to get the job done, but that he's looking for more and has high expectations for himself as well.
You mentioned Greg Ellingson, and Zach and he were teammates back in 2014 here in Hamilton. That was a long time ago, but they seem to have reignited some chemistry that maybe they would have had in 2014, because what have you seen from those two in practices at camp and through the first 2 games that makes you think they have the potential to be one of those deadly quarterback receiver combos in the CFL?
Well, we always like bringing up the fact that they have this history together, but obviously, as you mentioned, it was a number of years ago, and it really wasn't that long that they were together either. It's not as if they were together for several seasons or even really the full season with it. But I think that part of the benefit too is that you have a veteran receiver in Greg Ellingson. So I think that helps just inherently with the transition in getting these two on the same page for it. Just his knowledge of the CFL game and being able to adapt quicker with it. But then also I think that just that the chemistry that can exist between the two of them, and just that's almost that safety net that he can be, just because of the experience that he has, be able to go. And Greg, I think, has something to prove as well. Obviously, his season in Edmonton did not go the way that he would have anticipated it going or wanted it to, and still feels as if he has a lot to show people as well. So I think that there's an incentive for both that make this work, and they've been able certainly to capitalize on it. And early returns have been good, and we'll see whether or not they're able to add to it going forward.
One of the big storylines of the offseason for the Bombers was, of course, the departure of Andrew Harris. And there was always a lot of confidence in Oliveira and Johnny Augustine. And they seem to have been splitting reps pretty evenly in terms of yards, at least. Do you see one of those guys taking kind of the A role in the running back, or is it already Oliveira? Or how do you see those two working? Because it was the three of them last year, but now it's the two. How do you see that duo working in the backfield?
Well, and that was one of my questions going in even to their first game was, how are you going to utilize it? Because it was always Andrew Harris's backfield. And then whether Brady and Johnny both had success when they had spot duty in there, or if Andrew was injured and Brady stepped in, but it was never as if it was a 50-50 or a shared backfield. I mean, that was always Andrew Harris's field expectation. Are different. And I think that the mantle, the crown had been passed to Brady for it. And it's been a slow start. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, you could just look at his, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but just his yards per carry have been really low. And they haven't been able to get that ground game going that has been such a staple for them, and that has been able, as you know, that passing game takes a while to get going. Well, they always had that ground game, and they had Andrew Harris to rely on. So I think that it'll be interesting to see. It's obviously not all on the backs. I think that they, got to look at the offensive line too. That maybe has had a little bit of in some ways, a little bit of a slower start than what we've seen in previous years. But I think that even though the expectation is that this would be Brady's primarily, with Johnny getting a healthy workload, I think that it's very much up in the air, or I think that it should be for it. Right? They're two different backs, and I think that the potential is there to utilize them differently than the way that it had in the past when it was Andrew Harris's team, for lack of a better phrase. And so I think that it'll be interesting to see. I think that the opportunity is there, though. If Johnny comes out and really starts to provide success for them, I don't think that it's a given the way that it was in the past, but there's opportunity there. They're going to need both of them to be able to have success this season. And so it gives Buck Pierce also different options. Right. So we'll see which one gets going first. I can't wait. One of the things, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how these two lines go up against each other in this game here, and the challenge of Hamilton's defensive line and going up against this offensive line. It'll be a great challenge and a great battle on Friday night.
Yeah, Micah Johnson and Dylan Wynn up front for the Ticats should be a lot of fun. What's this game going to come down to? You mentioned the battle in the front there at the line. What else do you think this game is going to come down to?
Well, I mean, there's so many different stories. I mean, look, if you look from Hamilton's standpoint, you have to look at the finishes, right? Obviously, I mean, I know that it's not what any of them want to really focus in on, because you're only 2 games in, but there's no doubt that they need to be able, I think, to show that they can close out a game. Winnipeg has given up a ton of yards. Obviously, they're not happy with that, as I mentioned earlier. That goes without saying. I think they're last in the league in terms of yards allowed, passing yards allowed, and so that's something that they need to clean up as well. I just think that both of these teams have the ability to exploit the other based on what we've seen so far, and so. If this is one of those games that comes down to the final 3 minutes or that final play, as we've often seen when these two teams meet up with each other, I wouldn't be surprised. Somebody needs to really assert some dominance in one of these. I just don't know which one, to be honest. I just don't know which one it's going to be. I think that you can easily make arguments for both teams to either, the Bombers to either come out 3-0 or for the Ticats to get their first win of this.
Well, it should be fun, and you'll have the all the news and notes for us on the sidelines tomorrow night. So we appreciate you connecting here tonight, Sara. So thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's also supposed to be essentially raining. Oh. So I don't want, and I know that Ticats fans are well versed in dealing with the rain. Everything as we are here, but I'm not looking forward to, after some beautiful weather that we've seen so far. I begrudgingly looked at the forecast and thought, oh no, thunderstorm. So I'm hoping that there's some sort of change in that weather become an issue. But if it does, that obviously adds an uncontrolled element to this game as well that could factor into it.
We'll get Matthew Shinetti to send over his Inspector Gadget raincoat for you.
I might just ask him if he'll come in and do this game. I used to be known for rain following me all the time. In fact, a lot of the officiating crews will come up to me before and look at the sky, and I can go, hey, I have a great track record now. I don't know what you're looking at me for. Now the sun follows me. It was Shinetti that had last season had the worst weather, and I lucked out. So I don't know. Maybe he can be the rain guy now, and we can fly him in for this game and he can take care of it. I'll only deal with sun warm temperatures.
I think you've earned that right. You can do that, Sara. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
My thanks to Sara Orlesky for making some time to join me today. And I didn't want to bring it up with her, but my brain went back to, I believe it was 2016. Ticats in Winnipeg taking on the Bombers. A 2.5 hour lightning delay. So hopefully Sara avoids and the Ticats avoid some bad weather this weekend, tomorrow in Winnipeg, but we'll keep our eye on that, hoping she stays nice and dry, or hopefully Shinetti pulls through and ends up taking the game from her. All right, that'll do it for us today. That'll do it for me this week. I will be back Monday recapping Friday's game, but remember, the Ticats Audio Network, your exclusive home of game day coverage. It'll start with Tiger Cats Game Day with Courtney Stephen and Mike Daly, and we'll lead right into kickoff when RJ Broadhead and Luke Tasker have the call at 8:30. Preceding that, of course, is Tiger Cats pregame with Steve Clark filling in for Bubba O'Neill alongside Andy Fantuz. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the game. I'm Louie Butko for the Ticats Audio Network. Hoping you have a great day.
Ticats Today can be heard every weekday, and we would like to hear from you. Email us at gameday@ticats.ca. Have a question or an opinion? We want to hear it. That's gameday@ticats.ca. Subscribe to the Ticats Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.